Hi there, welcome to the AM News with me, Razak Musbao. Now, let's start. Ghanaian police are working with Interpol to secure an international arrest warrant for the Russian national accused of sharing explicit images and videos of Ghanaian women without consent. The accused Russian national allegedly obtained intimate images and videos of Ghanaian women throughout fraudulent means and shared them online without consent. Now, several women have come forward, filing formal complaints, prompting the government's swift response. Communications Minister Sam George says they will prosecute him in absentia following complaint from affected women, describing the actions as criminal and vowing to pursue accountability.
Filed complaints that are being processed by the CID, and CID is working with us to escalate this to Interpol to issue an international arrest warrant for the gentleman. And so we're leaving no stone unturned. We are also preparing through the Cybersecurity Authority to present a docket through the Police Service and Attorney General for prosecution in absentia in our courts. And so this is not a matter that is just for this press conference. We'll pursue this matter to its logical legal conclusion. And so the CID is working with us to activate the Interpol protocols to issue an international arrest warrant for the gentleman. And just for the avoidance of doubt, we'll want to state for emphasis that the two ministries know who the individual is. In our meeting with the ambassador, his identity was established. We have his passport, which we'll be sharing with the media, his Russian passport. His first name is Vladislav, and his last name is Lyulkov.
Well, meanwhile, Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Agnes Momo Late, says some of the victims have reached out to the ministry and are being provided with counseling.
Children and Social Protection, like we said, is collaborating with the Minister for Communication. And some of the ladies have reached out to us, and all issues concerning progress made on this case are being handled in high confidentiality. We are also assuring those who are yet to reach out to us that they can come out. The nation is with them. Don't worry too much about those who initially threw you under the tracks. We are here to support you as a ministry.
Well, elsewhere, police have launched an investigation into an alleged baby theft at Mampobi Polyclinic. According to the police, the suspect claimed she had delivered at the facility due to no available beds. But police say there's no evidence to support this story. Now, Director of Public Affairs, Superintendent Juliana Obain, confirmed the baby has been recovered and is receiving medical treatment. The suspect remains in custody as investigations continue. We'll hear from the police shortly, but first, here's a report of how the incident unfolded.
Tension filled the Mamprobi community after news broke that a newborn baby had gone missing from the Mamprobi Polyclinic, a place many families consider a safe haven for mothers and their babies. What began as a routine visit to the health facility quickly turned into a moment of panic, confusion and fear as relatives realized the baby could not be found. Some community members blamed the alleged theft on poor security arrangement at the hospital, insisting that both health workers and security officials must be held accountable.
So employ they should employ correct securities over here so that they should work. The securities should be work to maintain order and peace. So if they need peace, they have to change the security so that everything should be nice.
And in tight, because security for them are tight. What as a hospital, you need to you're the hospital public toilet. Who probably know what you are.
Hospital be anywhere allows them. Or be at me bomb remusa. I was at least security near tight. Oh, busa de ntia wo ba ha ba ye busa o hwe na o kwaba afa so security for na omo ye adwuma no omo nya serious omo hwe asla saa na young girls doctors no mo announce no e was say ye omo nyina akofie na mo good training because omo need to see e bia e wa ha say see a serve and say e ha particular na yes say obi o wa ha e fiti kwala so be simpen for so yes say omo nyina.
We can now listen to the Director of Public Affairs at the Ghana Police Service, Superintendent Juliana Obeng, who says the police has launched an investigation into the alleged baby theft.
At about 3:40 this morning, the police arrested a suspect, Latifa Salifo, who is 33 years of age and is a cloth seller here in Accra, at the premises of Kolebu Teaching Hospital, where she was found with a baby suspected to have been the missing child. Suspects claimed that she had delivered at the hospital and was discharged due to lack of birth. However, police investigations at the hospital revealed there was no records to support her claim. The suspect is currently in police custody, whilst arrangements are underway to place the baby under hospital care for safekeeping, further investigations, and medical attention. Investigations are ongoing, and further updates will be communicated soon.
Now, as part of efforts to improve sanitation in Cape Coast, the Dean of Ambassadors in the Metropolis, Prophet Emmanuel Abeku Agre, has donated 50 dustbins to the Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly. Speaking during the presentation, his representative, Pastor Emmanuel Hammond, urged residents to make proper use of the bins and uphold strong culture of cleanliness to help position Cape Coast among the cleanest cities in the country.
The presentation of the 50 dustbins by the Dean of all Ambassadors in Cape Coast and General Overseer of the Modest Chapel International, Prophet Emmanuel Abeku Agre, forms part of efforts to make the metropolis the cleanest in Ghana. Making the presentation on behalf of the Prophet, Pastor Emmanuel Hammond said the donation would help improve sanitation in the metropolis and urged residents to cultivate a strong maintenance culture.
He made this donation to support Cape Coast because Cape Coast is a town that has a lot of tourist sites. So with this donation, he believes that it will help beautify this beloved city. And this is just something small, which we believe he is going to do more. Because being the Dean of all Ambassadors, it comprises of being a sanitation, tourism, and development. He would make sure that more will come, so that the people of Cape Coast will see his works and the love that he has for his people. So this dustbin is going to serve a lot of purposes.
While accepting the presentation on behalf of the Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly, the Metropolitan Chief Executive, George Justice Arthur, assured that the dustbins would be put to effective use.
I want to assure the people of Cape Coast that this dustbin will put to effective use. We will make sure that we send to those areas that might need this dustbin. We are not going to sell it. We are not going to send it to certain areas that might not need. We will send it to these areas, all in the aim of our quest to make sure that Cape Coast becomes the cleanest city.
The Director of Waste Management at the Assembly, Jonas Dunibon, also expressed gratitude for the donation, describing it as significant in the execution of sanitation duties.
I want to take this opportunity to thank the Prophet for this kind gesture. In fact, as an assembly, we need such help from other organizations. These 50 dustbins going to a long way to help us in our discharge of sanitation in the metropolis. So I want to thank him so much, and we encourage other organizations to come and assist us so that together we can all keep the city clean.
From Cape Coast, Abigail Lesel Nkrumah reports for JoyNews.
Now, a lecturer in the Department of History and Political Science at the University of Business and Integrated Development Studies in WA has said conflict is inevitable and should be embraced constructively without insult or violence. The Associate Professor of Peace and Conflict Studies explained that conflict should focus on meaningful engagement that drives positive change in society. He made the remarks at a one-day peace and conflict resolution workshop in the Wa municipality organized by the Wa Yeri Na Muslim chief for key stakeholders.
The Wala Muslim chief Yarana Alaji Saliu Sungumode II made a workshop on peace and conflict resolution for leaders in the Wa municipality, both together chiefs, Queen mothers, Christian leaders, and Muslim leaders in the Wa municipality. The training seeks to promote peaceful coexistence and enhance practical skills in conflict prevention, management, and resolution. It was held on the theme Leadership, Peace, and Conflict Resolution Mechanisms. 2 resource persons were invited to take participants through various topics, including Professor Mohamed Hadi Abdul Ghani Bolaji, who urged the leaders not to avoid conflict, but to embrace it.
That conflict is inevitable, and that rather than avoiding conflict, we should embrace conflict. When we embrace conflict, then we'll be able to create platforms for socio-economic development. Yeah, so, and also to show the inevitability of conflict, whether we are at our various homes, workplace, the market, the mosque, we cannot avoid conflict. So when we say conflict, what we mean is we are not referring to insults or violence, but we mean impactful engagement, constructive engagement that can let us move forward as a society.
Another resource person and a former official of the National Youth Authority, Mumunu Suleimana, urged the leaders to work on their emotional intelligence and serve their subjects.
As a good leader, you must work on your emotional intelligence. That has to do with the ability to know that whatever you wouldn't want somebody to do to you, don't do it onto others. Very critical. We also made them to know that as a leader, you are supposed to be serving others, not necessarily they serving you. And you can also be a good leader without a vision. You must have a vision talking about your dream into the future. What is it that you want to get done? Say that one day, when you are no longer alive, people will remember you for those legacies.
Yerna Alaji Saliu Sungumune II, in a speech read on his behalf by lawyer Obedi Ben Siddiq, noted that without peace, there cannot be any meaningful development.
Now, the Ghana Tourism Authority in the Upper West region launched Chocolate Month with a cycling event involving school children across key streets and tourist sites in Wa. Regional Director Kwesi Enim Labi said the initiative promotes Ghana's cocoa heritage. The authority also donated cocoa product and essential items to inmates of Wa Central Prison to support skills training and local sales. A JoyNews Rafiq Salam report from Wa.
This year's Chocolate Month in the Upper West region took a unique form where the Ghana Tourism Authority GTA celebrated it with cycling. 12 schools in the Wa municipality took part in the novel program. It is dubbed Ride, Explore and Learn. They started the cycling at the forecourt of the Upper West Regional Coordinating Council. The young learners' first point of call was at the George Ekem Ferguson Heritage Site, where they learned about this great man and other dignitaries. The pupils then headed to the Dondol Historical Mosque and lastly to the Wanas Palace. Leading the charge of the tourist sites is a freelance private tour guide, Aziz Belpo.
The Wanas Palace is the official seat and residence of the Wana. What I mean is that this is where every Wana stays, and this is where they also work from. It is an ancient palace also built in the 19th century. The same Moorish Sudanese architecture that you experience is what has been replicated here. As I was explaining to you earlier, they started with a mosque, where the early Muslim traders wanted to accommodate themselves, their goods, and worship. So the royals realized that if you can do a mosque this nice, we could equally replicate same for our overlord or our king or the chief. So they replicated the same structure here.
Upper West Regional Director of GTA, Kwesi Inimlabi urged Ghanaians to visit their local tourist sites to promote local tourism.
Fellow Ghanaians, we are in our chocolate month. The Ghana Tourism Authority have provided a stage for us to enjoy our rich cocoa, which we have served nations with. As we enjoy this cocoa month, we want you to take your sweet chocolate or cocoa drink and try to explore your communities. There are rich history within your community. There are great attractions within your community. We want you to explore those areas to promote domestic tourism.
Some of the young learners shared their experience with JoyNews.
I experienced a lot of things today, from the Ferguson grave to totally ancient rock to Rwanda's palace. I learned a lot. I learned about how Ferguson helped in slave trade, how the Sudanese built the ancient milk there, and how they were able to build the royal palace here in the Upper West region.
Well, it's now time for the business update, and in our first business story, the country could in the coming months witness an improvement in its ratings. This was after government advanced some 10 billion cedis as interest payment to the bondholders. We have details in the following report.
Ghana is currently classified within the B ratings range and with a stable outlook by some of the rating agencies. Now, the country got to this level after some improvement in the economy and debt payment. Going through most of the reports by the International Credit Ratings, Ghana's decision to embark on a debt restructuring and delays in paying debt owed bondholders was a major factor in downgrading Ghana over the past years. Some market watchers have argued that based on this latest round of payment, the rating agencies will definitely upgrade Ghana when it comes to its ability to settle its debt owed investors on time. Another issue that will work in Ghana's favor is the fact that the country currently has a strong reserve position, and that should also give some comfort to investors when it comes to future debt payment. We should also not forget about the cedi stability over the past month and how that could also influence Ghana's credit ratings going forward.
Now, government is also ramping up investments in mini-grid technology to fast-track electricity access to undeserved communities across Ghana. Director for Renewable Energy and Green Transition at the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition, Engineer Seth Mahu, says the initiative is critical to closing the country's remaining access gap as extending the national grid becomes increasingly costly. Speaking at the Stakeholder Forum in Accra, he noted that about 3.5 million people still lack power and nearly 400 mini-grids will be required to achieve universal access by 2030.
Government and development partners are stepping up efforts to expand mini-grid deployment as Ghana pushes toward universal electricity access. Speaking at the Stakeholder Forum in Accra, Director for Renewable Energy and Green Transition at the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition, Engineer Seth Mahu, said studies show Ghana would need nearly 400 mini-grids to achieve full access, adding that the systems are being built grid-ready for seamless integration when the national grid expands.
Today, over 600 million people in Africa do not have access to electricity, and extending the national grid to cover these people is quite expensive, and that is why this mini grid technology is so crucial, and bringing all the experts to come and deliberate on this matter here in Accra is very, very important and vital to us. If you take Ghana, we have an access rate that is 89%. We have about 11% more to go. That's about 3.5 million people who do not have access to electricity. And interestingly, these people reside in areas that the extension of the national grid is quite a challenge economically and technically. That is why we are pushing very hard the mini grid concept to be able to connect all these people. We've done studies that have revealed that we need close to 400 number mini grids to be constructed between now and 2030 to be able to connect everybody in this country.
According to Professor Corneliu Babu, expanding mini grid infrastructure could significantly significantly improve livelihoods in remote communities, particularly around the Molly National Park, while donor funding continues to cushion the high upfront cost of deployment.
Through this project, we're bringing electricity to some of the remote communities around Molly National Park, and naturally bringing electricity to these communities are going to improve their livelihood, standard of living. It's going to have beneficial health effects, those kind of things.
Africa Energy Parks project manager Moses Mengo says the new model marks a shift from traditional rural electrification by enabling communities to both generate and consume power through solar and biomass-based mini-grids.
Electricity will be generated from their village. They would be the ones providing the means for generating the electricity. It will come from solar, the panels will be in their village. It will come from biomass. They would supply the feed to the plant that will generate the energy. So they are not just consumers. In this case, they are also producers. This is the main difference between the microgrid system and the normal electricity system.
Stakeholders remain optimistic that sustained investment, policy support, and community participation will accelerate mini-grid deployment and move Ghana closer to achieving universal electricity access by 2030.
Well, that's all for business and all for the bulletin. Coming up next is the news review. Please stay with us.